Hey guys, today we're going to use a calculator to find the sum, difference, product, or quotient. Okay, you may recognize these words, but just so you know, the sum is what happens when you add. The difference is what happens when you subtract. The product is what happens when you multiply, and the quotient is what happens when you divide. So don't let the big words trip you up. Once you start seeing this, you'll get the hang of it. So the good news is you can also use a calculator for this. So for my first example, we'll call this example A, negative 235 minus 172. Well, the way we use a calculator to do this is, depending on the calculator you have, most smartphones now will let you just hit the minus button and then punch in 2, 3, 5, then hit the minus button again, and then 1, 7, 2, and then hit the equal sign. And the answer you should get is negative 407. And that is the answer. For example B, we'll start with 87 plus negative 29. There's a couple ways you could do this. Most modern calculators, especially those in smartphones, will let you plug it in like this. 87, and then hit the plus sign, then hit the minus sign, and punch in 29, and then hit equal. Your calculator should give you an answer of 58. If you'll remember that when the signs are double signs like this, we could just treat this as 87 minus 29, which will definitely give you 58. Example C is negative 200 plus 89. So the way we'll plug this into the calculator is we'll hit the minus sign, plug in 200, hit plus, then punch in 89 and hit the equal sign. And that equals negative 111. So let's say we have negative 354 plus 158. Well, I hit the minus sign. I punch in 354. I hit the plus sign. And then I punch in 158. After that, I hit the equal sign. And I should get negative 196. So those answers were sums and differences. Now let's do some that are products and quotients. Let's say I have negative 1008 over 24. Well, remember that this is division. So the way we do this is first you punch into your calculator 1008, and to make it negative, hit the button that looks like this. And what that'll do is it'll make it negative 1008. Then hit divide, then punch in 24, and then hit this plus minus button again, and it'll make it a negative 24. Then hit equals, and the answer is 42. Another way to think about this is when you have the same signs in multiplication or division. Remember, if you're multiplying or dividing two numbers and they have the same sign, then the answer is always going to be positive. So since these both have a negative, we know that our answer will be positive. So we could just enter this in the calculator as 1008 divided by 24. So if you punch into your calculator 1008 divided by 24, that's 42. So let's say we have negative 25 times negative 72. First, you punch in 25 into your calculator, and then you hit the button that looks like this with a plus slash minus, and that's going to make it negative 25. Now remember, two parentheses set up like this means multiplication. So it's going to be negative 25 times negative 72. But you punch in 72, you hit the plus or minus button, and it'll make it negative 72. And then you hit equals 1,800. So notice that you have a negative and a negative, which means that the answer is going to be positive, because if the signs are the same, when you multiply, the answer will be positive. So we could have treated this like 25 times 72, which also equals 1,800. So we'll call this one example G. So here I have negative 21 times 63. So this is negative 21 times 63. So I'll punch this in my calculator. First, I'll punch in 21, and then I will hit the plus or minus button, which will make it negative. So now I have negative 21. And then I'll hit the times button, 63 equals negative 1,323. Notice that the 63 is positive while the 21 is negative. And since they have different signs, our answer is negative. So the final answer here is negative 1,323. We'll call this one example H. Let's say we have negative 448 over 16. Well, remember, this is division, so it's negative 448 divided by 16. So I'll punch 448 into my calculator. I'll hit the positive negative button, and that'll make this negative 448. Then I'll hit divide, punch in 16 and hit equals, and my answer will be negative 28. And that's how you use a calculator to find the sum, difference, product, or quotient of an expression.